So obviously, marketing is a lot about creating trust, and now you have the ability to create trust at scale. So,
Yeah.
what are your views about that? What are your recommendations at building automations that can lead to trust at scale?
Yes. Yeah. So people buy from those they know, like, and trust. We all know this. And in order to increase the level of trust in your contacts and how you can do it at scale is you want to use what we're calling behavioral science or user psychology, human psychology to help people to really kind of align with how people make decisions. And so I like to use like a plethora of behavioral science principles. One that I like in particular is called the I've seen Kina effect. And I use this at HubSpot in
Mhm.
that successful trigger and automated workflow that we use. What that does is that reminds us that the human brain is more likely to want to if they start a task, they want to finish it, right? And so that's kind of like when you're up late at night and you have a to-do list and you only did 3 out of 5 things. You're thinking about those last 2 things because you really want to finish the task or you want to close the loop on something. But if you use that to your advantage, you can help people say, hey, I've seen you. You can kind of piggyback off of their action and say, I've seen that you've done these things, these actions. Now, if you want to complete the process, you have to do this other action, and they're going to want to do that because the human brain has a tendency to want to complete a certain task. And so if you use that to your advantage, you can get them to follow your lead. You can increase the likelihood of them trusting you because now you're creating your marketing that's aligned with behavioral science and how people make decisions. And other ways to build trust is just to show up with value. You want to just give value and go ahead and give the value that helps them achieve a quick win. When you can demonstrate that you can help them, they trust you more with the bigger things and they will be willing to pay when it's time for that CTA of becoming a customer. So always be giving value. You're going to showcase your credibility. You're going to bring in your social proof. You want to create messages that align with how people make decisions. There's another behavioral science principle called the commitment and consistency bias. Again, if people are taking action, that's a great leverage for you. You can say, hey, you've done this one action. And so it means that this is important to you. Let's continue because you started. And so we're using these sort of psychological frameworks in our messaging to get them on board and to influence them. And when they follow your lead, they'll continue. The more likely they are to say yes to something, they'll continue to say yes all along. You're building that trust, you're moving them down the funnel. And it's really exciting to be able to have these sort of tips and tricks. I call them like superpowers or gold nuggets that you can use in your marketing to influence them for the next step.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this is like a secret to designing this demand automation. So
Yeah,
maybe if you can add more, because I missed the name that
yeah.
you used the framework. So can you
I
please
know
repeat
it's
that?
Yeah, I know it's an interesting term, but
Yeah.
it's OV of seen SIAN and then just Kina, which is KINA. I've seen Kina. And it
Okay.
just means that humans want to finish a task and it
Okay.
bothers them if they don't finish a task. So use that. That is a huge one.
Mhm.
That's exactly how my emails went for our demand automated workflow. And it was like, I think
Mhm.
it said something like, I'll give you what the email said that was the top
Mhm.
3 out of
Sure.
80. It was, hey, you've just completed your first milestone. Great job. I didn't say great job, but it was like giving them kudos and praising their first action. But there's another problem. Oh no, you're not done. You still have more to do. So in order to complete your task, you need to do this next step so that you're complete. So like that was the premise and the concept of that email, and it worked, and it drove. And then more people were able to connect with the sales rep, and the reps were really of service. They were trying to help them complete and do what they already wanted to do. And I call this partnering in their pursuit. So it was good for them and was good for us as a marketer because we were measured on demand. And it allowed people to take action based on the previous action that they took. And I definitely recommend doing that. It's pretty powerful.